First, each of the 4 candidates, the 2 for president-elect and the 2 for member at large, will have an opportunity to present 5 minutes to let you know a little bit about who they are and what they are standing for in terms of their role in the IEEE USA. Then you'll have your opportunity. There are note cards and pencils on each table. I urge you to go ahead and get those in front of you so you can, as you think of a question or as somebody says something that raises a question, you can write that down. There will be staff circulating to pick those questions up and funnel them up here to me so that I then can pass them along to each of the candidates. So that will be after the 20-minute introductions. We'll have some time for that, and then we'll save some time at the end for 2 minutes from each candidate to just kind of wrap it up from their perspective. So with that, we're going to get started with our president-elects, and we're doing this in alphabetical order, which means first is Mark Apter. Mark. It's up there.
Okay. I'll leave it over there. Okay, thank you, Peggy. As candidate for IEEE USA President-elect for 2002, and also the IEEE, as being on IEEE, the fact that IEEE USA is our national society. Quick, some notes. Who am I? I've worked as an engineer, many different kinds of engineers, not just electrical, electronic, computer, but just about every other area. I've worked in various non-engineering fields, technical. I've been a manager. I've been a supervisor. I've managed and dealt with budgets from the millions and tens of millions of dollars. And I've chaired and/or held office at the chapter level, section level, geo-council level, societies, various boards and OUs of the IEEE and other major groups in IEEE. One of the things within IEEE USA is we need to have a continuum of education programs. That doesn't mean we have to invent them all, we have to pay for them all, definitely not pay for them all, or develop them all. But we need to get them, collect them, and package them up so that our members can see what's available and what is and in some cases we'll have to get things that are not available to do it. We're talking a K through 12 program, such as the Teacher in Service program. We need various university programs that address professionalism. We need a young professional program, which I'll comment in a minute, and then we need a career program. One of the areas we really need more on is a young professional career program. We need to address soft skills, technical skills, and then to provide or obtain what we need. We need, some of these skills are not obvious, like, okay, you all understand you're going to have to be a technical person or understand management. But what about the other soft skills? How to buy a house, how to get a mortgage, how to deal with insurance. If we could get those kinds of areas where we can get special rates for our members, you know, we're talking 200,000 members, it's a pretty good package to try and get. If we can get special rates, it might be a great deal and a benefit. There's some issues we ought to be addressing in the future. And the engineer supply still needs to be addressed. Issues with older engineers. In other words, is there shortages out there? Are engineers being educated correctly? Are engineers someone who drive trains? We still got a lot of people who believe that. We have the 401k program, but can our various pensions be additive, or do we have a whole bunch of little tiny ones? Should we be out dealing with that? And then, how many employees support professional organizations? Yes, we used to have a lot of companies that would pay dues. Now we have many less. But I'm not even asking for that. Do they give you a chance to participate, to give papers, to do things as a professional? So this is something that needs to be done. Having discussed those issues we need to be addressed, I just thought you ought to know those are all the same issues that were discussed in the September 1984 presidential campaign. Nothing has changed. We still need to address it, and we really need to get out there and to be addressing those issues. We in IEEE USA need to help our members, and we need to make sure they understand that IEEE USA is our national professional society. And we also need to ensure the rest of IEEE understands that too. Thank you.
And with 20 seconds to spare. Now it's a pleasure to introduce the second candidate for President-elect, Nita Patel.
I thought I'd start out like Mr. James Kennedy did and list all the things I'm not. However, I've decided if I start with I'm not blonde, I'm not tall, I'm not an astronaut, it would go on forever. So I'm going to start with a shorter list. What am I? I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm a wife, I'm a Toastmaster, I'm a reader, I'm a chess player, I'm a professional engineer, and I'm a volunteer. And some of you can agree with some of those, and some of you can't, and some of you can feel like you are participating in some of those communities in which I work. When I graduated from Southern Methodist University in 1995, I got a degree in mathematics and a degree in electrical engineering. I went back to get a master's in computer engineering while I was working at TI Defense Systems on fire control and Bradley tanks. Since then, I've worked on $36 million programs to upgrade the NextRad program, as well as what I do currently. I have a team of 30 people that I manage as a systems and software engineering manager, and my job is to lead them. And my job is to help them find the resources so that they can do their jobs effectively and productively. Now, I'm part and proud to be part of this great organization, but we have some challenges. We have some challenges of budget constraints due to membership decline, challenges of communications, as we've already talked about. You heard a lot of these challenges yesterday as our regional directors and vice presidents laid them out for you. We have challenges of knowledge sharing. We have challenges of being relevant to the society as well as to our members and the community. We have challenges of engaging and inspiring our members. Wow. How do we solve these? The only way I know how to solve problems is to focus on our strengths and to make them stronger. And to figure out how we do that, I want to go back to something that Carl Robago, the Austin Energy presenter, said. And I don't think I could have said it better than him, so I'm going to actually borrow what he said. He said, first, we have to articulate our vision. As IEEE USA, we have a strong vision of building careers and shaping public policy. But we need to understand how this vision is interpolated or interpreted by our local sections and members. And then we need to do number two, which is to convene people around this vision. We have a lot of volunteers. All of you guys are here contributing your time and energy and money in terms of time and money spent to make IEEE USA better. We need to engage other members in this capacity. A couple of weeks ago, I was very humbled. I was honored as the New Hampshire Engineer of the Year at the local Engineers Week celebration. And I say this because I want to share with you what I challenged the engineers I spoke to. My favorite quote is from Mahatma Gandhi: "Be the change you want to see in the world." And I think all throughout generations, people have wanted to change the world. But I think now, people want to be that change. They don't want to just see the world change and get it better and improve and become more technologically advanced and more economically prosperous. They want to be the people that contribute to that change. And I think as IEEE USA, we need to share with our members how we do that. We do that by providing them resources through their career and development, and we need to make that more relevant, more convenient, and more accessible to them so that they, through their training, can help change the world. We need to show them that advocating and educating our government officials helps to change the world so that their contributions are resulting in a change to the world. And third, as Carl Robago said, we need to support those people that we corral around our vision. And to do that, we need resources, tools, and as IEEE USA leaders, that should be our responsibility, is to developing those tools and resources to help our members be the agents of change. Now, it goes without saying that we have great volunteer leaders, and I think Mark is a fantastic guy, and if you vote for him, I won't hold it against you. However, I hope it also goes without saying that I would appreciate your vote.
Thank you. A reminder as we move from candidate to candidate, and I will also note that she had a good 27 seconds left. So we have people who pay attention to their timing here running for president-elect. I want to remind you to be creating the questions, the things that you want to know about and want to know in order to inform your vote for the IEEE USA candidates, whether it's for president-elect or member at large. Now we're going to hear from the two member at large candidates, once again in alphabetical order. So we're going to start with Dennis Ray.
Sorry. I wanted to start off by talking a little bit about what experience I've had that I think will contribute to my participation on the board as the at-large member. First, I'm a multidisciplinary guy. My undergraduate degree is in EE, but my PhD is in business. And the PhD that I got was focused on public utilities. I was one of the last public utilities graduate at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. I've had leadership in organizations that have sought to inform decision making. I was a co-director of the Wisconsin Public Utility Institute back in the 80s and early 90s, where we would do training and run forums to try to help decision makers, policy makers better understand the issues. I've personally been involved in explaining technology to policymakers. Last month, the National Association of Regulatory Utility Commissioners and DOE invited me to participate in a panel on some of the operational challenges facing power system operators. I've participated in congressional contacts with staff of IEEE USA, and I'm doing something about challenges in the workforce. I'm a member of the Power and Energy Society's Workforce Collaborative, and we're putting together a Scholarship Plus program to try to bring more students into engineering. You've heard the challenges. Basically, as Nita said, we're going to start off with a vision, which I would state as being the trusted source of information and advice, while being caring and supportive of our workforce, of our members. We need to do what is necessary to reach that vision in a sustainable way, wisely using the available resources, both people and financial. The process that's going on seems very reasonable to me. You're gathering information about needs, you're gathering information about available resources, and then looking at your own organization to try to figure out how to make it more efficient, better aligned with the vision. Let me just put forward six ideas about how to move forward. We need to be proactive. We're going to be losing up to 50% of the workforce in a very short period of time. What are we going to be doing about that? We need to make a big difference in what we do. We can't be just satisfied with little things. We need to really make a big difference. And when we do make a difference, we need to toot our horn loudly. We need to use our problem-solving skills. Engineers are good problem solvers, and deciding on a new service or a new program is not unlike building a new piece of software or a piece of hardware. We need data, we need to test it, we need to move forward with a product that we can sell in the marketplace that's useful. We should not wash the vision out with the bathwater. We have a vision that we need to hold true to even as we try to pursue more revenue. Finally, we need to fan the flames. There are activists among us. I don't know if you know about that. The activists have been meeting outside the agenda. They've been social networking. They're going to take over this organization in 30 years. Who are they? They are our gold members. They're excited. Let's fan that flame and bring them along and do what we can to support them. We've left them a lot of challenges globally as well as locally, and we need to do what we can to help them take over this organization and move forward.
Thank you. Okay. And now, Tom Tierney will wrap up the final discussion, the final introductory remarks, and once again, please be creating your questions. Tom.
That was a great job, Dennis. I want to start off just by the very last comment that Dennis left with, gold members. That is the future. I was a gold member, and I think it's a fantastic program. So to all the gold members in here, stay involved and follow that. So a little bit about me. I started out in IEEE as an undergraduate, and I've continued being a member of IEEE since then. And you'll note that I'm a physicist, which kind of puts me in a little bit of the out crowd to some extent, but I'm an applied physicist in plasma physics. And I've been involved in the Nuclear and Plasma Sciences Society since I first came in. My history is that I am currently a senior project leader in the Counterterrorism Tactics Program Office at Los Alamos, where I engage in research and lead research in counterterrorism technologies. I'm a scientist by trade. I was previously, in 2009, Engineering and Diplomacy Fellow for IEEE on detail to the Counterterrorism Office at State Department. Prior to that, I was the High Energy Density Physics Experiments Program Lead for Los Alamos, and there I led a team of 25 to 30 individuals ranging in age from my age to retirees. And so I have a history of leadership along those lines. I also have a history of leadership outside the working environment, and my experience stretches from involvement in the American Physical Society and IEEE. I'm currently the vice chair for our section. I chaired the NPSS chapter and chaired our gold chapter for a while. I also, in the American Physical Society, I started up the Canadian and American and Mexican Physical Societies graduate student conferences, which continues to this day. So what would I do for IEEE USA? I believe that IEEE is facing a change in its future, and the change is coming in the wave of the electronic age. And part of that is going to be the introduction of e-books, virtual conferencing, real-time virtual conferencing, as well as virtual multimedia publications. And I think those are areas that we can grow and introduce new income opportunities for the IEEE USA. I also think that I will bring a totally new vision in the form of a youthful person, a person who has energy and excitement and really wants to drive new directions for the IEEE. And then finally, I think a little learning is a dangerous thing, and that is a fantastic quote by Alexander Pope. By being a person who's young and influential and being able to be influenced by the thoughts and the ideas of the other members, I believe I can be a good conduit and advocate for the members of the IEEE USA.
All right. Okay, candidates, are you ready now to respond to the questions that your remarks or other issues might have brought in our members' minds? This looks like something that everyone, whether you are President-elect or member-at-large, could respond to. What 3 activities would you champion to increase value that IEEE USA members receive? So it's what 3 activities would you champion to increase value for our members? I know increasing value for our members is something that we all really want to pay attention to. And I'm not going to start at one end or the other each time, but I do think that this time I'm going to start at the far end of the table and ask Tom, if you would respond. It sounded like you had some ideas already percolating.
There we go. Got it working. So I think that conferences are our main means of fostering communication between scientists and engineers. And I think that's where we get a lot of professional development, get involvement with the students, get involvement with postdocs, and all the way up to retirees. So I think virtual conferencing, creating real-time interactive environments for virtual conferencing is one method we could do that. The second one was starting to move to the new age. YouTube is a fantastic tool that people are using around the world. It's changing the world. You look at how it's changed the environment in the Middle East, for example, and how the political environment has been influenced by YouTube and the ability to do real-time streaming multimedia. We can do that kind of thing in a publication world as well. And then finally, I think we need to continue to promote and anticipate a technical future. I currently chair the Emerging Technologies and Research Advisory Committee for the Department of Commerce, and there we're geared towards identifying what is the next generation of technologies that could be of dual use, for example, dual use in the context of it has military and civilian application. Those kinds of activities are important to steering and guiding the future of any technical organization or technically influenced organization.
Great, thank you. Now, we're not going to, the format of this panel is that everybody's not going to answer every question, but I'm going to give you the opportunity to add to this one because the next question I have is specifically for our President-elect candidates. So, let's hear from Dennis.
I was talking to the Gold members yesterday at lunch, and one of the things they said about the undergraduates and graduate students as they're coming out of school is the need to really help them connect to their next job, and they've got the STEP program that is started. I think that needs to be expanded throughout the nation. I think it's a terrific program. I think we need to capture the excitement of the Gold members and use that to try to help get rid of that retention problem that we have in the first year after graduation. So I'd really endorse that. I think it'd be kind of nice if we had a myths web page. That is, when we hear technological myths that are being floated around with policy makers, if we had a place where you can go like urban myths, we'll have one on technology myths, because it's some of the stuff that goes wrong is just kind of silly. Policy is really the hard thing to build value on, because it's not something you consume. It's not like a policy on greenhouse gases. It's not like it's going to make you feel better after you eat it or anything. The best way to build value with policy is to communicate the importance of what you're doing and remind people that we're coming up with policies using processes that involve our members. So it's not arbitrary.
Great. Now I'm going to change the question here for the President-elect candidates. Somebody has turned in the question that says, what is your best or strongest personal trait as a leader? And Nita, you picked up the microphone. Does that mean you're ready?
Sure.
Okay.
Translator. Now, that sounds bizarre. I don't actually speak that many languages, just a couple, but I think my best trait is translator. I've had to be a translator not only from individual contributors to top-level management to take their ideas and figure out how it makes sense in a business plan, but translator from here's the vision and here's how we break it down into subcomponent task. So take it from the top and to the bottom. Translator for this is what I want to do, husband, yes, you agree, that sort of thing. So translator, it encompasses a lot of different aspects, but I think that it also incorporates how to best communicate for your audience. Not every audience is exactly the same. Not every person understands the same details and information, and constantly we as engineers forget that not everybody has the same experiences that we do, nor the background, and we need to translate for them. We need to help them understand what our objectives, vision, technology, how it helps them, how it promotes their living, how it helps them continue to make changes in the world.
Okay. Mark, this was for both of you.
Well, at least I guess the first one, we got off the hook on that one.
I'll hook you in a minute.
Yeah, the single item would be relative to being involved with teams, putting teams together. And that is not just taking my ideas and getting a team to make it happen, but to get the best ideas and getting a team put together to make it happen. Doesn't have to be mine, it could be anybody's. If it's a good idea, let's use it and get it out there.
Great, thank you. Just to make sure that we're playing fair here, I had a question that came in for the 2 member-at-large candidates. And it is members at large. They do exist, but we don't hear from them. How will you reach us members? Would you like to go first on that one?
I didn't realize I was supposed to, as an at-large member, reach out independently. I just don't think that I'm going to reach out individually and to members. Wouldn't be my role. I would want to fit into whatever communication schemes that the board would like to follow. So I wouldn't see me making independent statements of what the board policy would be. That said, I would think that with the role of some kind of independence, the opportunity to speak would always be there through standard channels.
So I think blogs are fantastic kinds of tools, but Twitter is becoming a fantastic tool as well. So I certainly would try to take advantage of those kinds of media interfaces. But I think an additional element might be to set up office hours in some regard, where you have a video conferencing office hour. And I would try to set it up as frequently as possible. We're all busy people, so I can honestly say that it probably would be monthly, maybe quarterly. Who knows what it depends on the interest of the community. But I think as a member at large, my main interest is to hear from the people who I'm supposed to represent. And I think that is the most important asset to being a representative for the members.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. I have a question. We've been thinking a lot throughout this conference about the future. We've been hearing about the word vision tossed around, and we've been hearing about goals. And the question that has come in is, how will IEEE USA in the year 2020 differ from the organization today? And what policies will you champion to enact that vision? Let's start. Mark, do you have some thoughts on that?
One of the differences by 2020 is at least 100,000 more members.
Oh.
We need more members, obviously. The obvious reason is it gets us more income. But we need more because we need to truly represent everybody in our field of interest. Other changes...
The microphone needs...
Sorry. Other changes between now and 2020 is making use of technology, and making use of technology quicker. A lot of these various technical tools are already there. We just don't have them in IEEE yet for a lot of things. We need to make better use it quickly. Get it out there quickly and make use of it.
Okay. Well, looks like Nita wants to have equal time on that one, so let's go. No, that's okay. Go.
I have no idea what the world is going to look like in 2020. All we can do is think about how much innovation has happened in the last 10 years and how revolutionized we've become just with the emergence of social media, which 10 years ago didn't exist. So I think if we try to paint ourselves into some picture, that's not the right thing. However, we still have to set a vision. And what should that vision be? To me, It's not necessarily the number of members, it's more how we have our members engaged. And are our members excited to be part of IEEE USA? Are they contributing? Are we not relying totally on membership dues? I mean, that's something we need to think about so that it doesn't matter so much if we lose members, as long as the members we have are truly getting something out of this organization.
Okay. Continuing on this picture of the future, we have a question about the relationship between IEEE USA and the IEEE. And did you want to take that one on, Mark? Is that what you were looking for? No, okay. Because I was going to start with Dennis, and
They shouldn't be answering that.
they shouldn't answer that, just as
It's
the.
our chance.
Okay. I know that their position wouldn't directly influence it. I was just curious about ideas, but pass it on down. Sounds like Mark wants to address it.
While IEEE USA is a part of the IEEE, as I stated and as others have stated, IEEE USA is our national professional organization. We put out policy. We put out policy after it has been reviewed and approved by the IEEE USA board. I personally object to having the international IEEE deciding about U.S. policy is going to be put out. I think it's a mistake. As long as there is no legal problem, I think it is something that should not be done. We need to be the national organization and do that, and within the limits that IEEE
Microphone.
allows. Within the limits IEEE allows, just let it happen. Do it, but we are the national organization.
Nita, you have some additional thoughts on that?
I agree that we shouldn't have an international body determining whether or not our policy statements for U.S. government is valid or not. But I also think IEEE USA serves another component with the larger IEEE. We have the largest connection to grassroots in terms of the PACE network as well as in terms of our government relations at grassroots. And we have a lot of fantastic ideas that can serve as role models and templates for IEEE at large. And I think we should be an example for the large organization.
Okay, serve as an example. I know this question can apply to everyone. It could actually apply to everyone in the room, but we're going to start with the member-at-large candidates and ask you, a significant number of our members have no idea what IEEE USA is about. How do you address that? How do you get people to know what this complex organization really is about? Tom, could you give us a start on that one?
Well, I do think that IEEE USA has a fantastic website with a lot of valuable tools, including the interfaces with the government and how government policy may be affecting everybody's daily work. In my experience, it's an interesting interface, and you know how engineering, science, and technology in general is affected and affects the policy that the U.S. government has. So I think that that's one fantastic place, and drawing more attention to the IEEE.org website is a good way. But I also think that IEEE USA should be a little bit more involved in the technical conferences that we have. NPSS, the Computer Society, the Photonics, and so on, and trying to come up with ways to pull the emerging technologies out of those conferences and push those into tomorrow's policy is a challenge that we've been facing for a long time, and I think it's a challenge we can overcome.
Thank you.
I think it's important to use current technologies for getting the message out. But what's key is what the message is. And I think messages to some degree have to be tailored to the audiences. For example, we know that young adults want to make a difference in the world. And they would like to know, I would imagine, that we are making a difference in what we do. So when we do things that affect policy, that respond to crises, such as the coming crises with government layoffs, and the engineers are going to be laid off with that, when we can demonstrate that we're responsive, that message needs to be made, and can be made more effectively, perhaps, with the younger adults. Older adults, they're going to be interested in messages as well. So it's a matter of tailoring the message to be heard when they go out.
Okay. Both Mark and Nita mentioned in their opening remarks about major projects or budgets that they have managed. And this question applies to the budget issue. What should IEEE USA do to diversify and increase its revenue stream? We need new ways. So, Nita, would you like to go first on that one?
Sure. I think Tom touched on some component of that, which is conferences and engaging other means of revenue source. Whenever you have a budget and you have projects against them, every time you're looking at adjusting the budget, you have to look at what are our top priorities and why are they our top priorities. Not just why are we spending money on these big top items, but how do they affect our mission and how do they affect our members. And so when you look at that, maybe from that you get ideas of how to come up with different revenue sources. So the things that are most important to our members, where they're most engaged with us, those are potential revenue sources. As a board, we've started that process, and I think we have some very good ideas in terms of conferences, in terms of advertising, different mechanisms of engaging our members, industry relations. Those are the ways to increase our revenue sources.
Looks like you have another comment on that one, Mark.
Yeah, while we need to increase we do need to increase our revenue sources, but our traditional IEEE approaches aren't going to work. Everybody talks about, let's go have some new conferences. Please tell me what topic you're going to have a conference on that isn't covered by one of our societies or councils already. They're not going to let you get a share of it. So if we're going to do anything, we need to go into areas we've never done before. Yes, we already do small technical sessions, half-day, one-day sessions, but we need to look into really different ideas, different ways to get resources other than the old traditional conference approach. We really have to go out and be inventive with some ideas.
Okay. On the same trend of being inventive and coming up with some ideas, this question is actually for everyone, and we haven't been passing the mic all the way down, but I think we'll do it this time. So what do you see as one or two of the most critical challenges that we're facing in the IEEE USA, and what would you do about it? I know some of you have highlighted some of the things that are important to you all already, but if you had to narrow it down to just one or two things, what are they and what would you do? Who'd like to? Tom, you're looking ready, are you? No, not. She's like, okay, go for it, Nita.
I think we're losing practitioners, losing practitioners, and I think that's a major issue, is that we are not addressing the needs of the practitioners within the community of IEEE. And one of the things we need to do a better job at is how to get them the information they want. You heard the luncheon speaker, Mr. Stevens, talk about cross-training and getting the experiences to the employees so that they are ready to tackle on a new position or a new job. And if that's what companies are looking for, then we need to know that, and we need to figure out how to get that to our members. How do we get them the experiences? Some of that comes from volunteer, some of that comes from possibly training that we can provide at a practitioner level. Not necessarily just purely professional in terms of writing your resume or seeking health insurance, but the intermix of professional and technical of how do you do your job? How do you come up with new and creative ideas by taking a systems engineering approach of taking pieces from all around what you've seen and best practices and incorporating it and living your experiences?
I'll pass it that way, that's fine, either way.
I think one of the most critical challenges is going to be the exodus of so many engineers in such a short period of time leaving a group of engineers that really haven't bought into the IEEE USA concept. I think we need to be thinking about that. We need to be thinking about, in particular, how we can use the volunteer capacity that's going to be available as those engineers retire to try to convince them that they can make a difference in the society and in IEEE USA in helping it meet its vision.
Well, IEEE is a 127-year-old institution, and it has survived because of its agility. And its agility is driven by the activities of its volunteers. But it doesn't mean that we need to rest on our laurels and neglect it. We do need to pay attention and maintain that agility. The way we maintain it is by drawing in new membership, drawing in and making the institution attractive to the current membership. And I think, certainly, I think the greatest challenge is certainly keeping the membership numbers, the people who are out there in the field. We also need to increase our industry involvement. I think the industry involvement has, to some extent, started on its decline, and it could be because the average time that a person spends in a job is now 2.5 years before they move on to another institution, and that's the general trend of things. So how do we do that? We try to promote how valuable IEEE USA and IEEE in general is to the institutions that the people work for, in addition to the people themselves.
Yes, an important theme, it sounds like. And Mark is ready here for...
I think there are two items that we are challenging us, and they've both been mentioned by the other three people on the podium. One is the practitioner area. We need to address that. We need to address it now. We need to find solutions. It is not something that we can wait to solve. We really have to do something now. And the other one, as mentioned, is the communication of the value. The outside world needs to know the value of the organization. Value of what your time is being spent, so they know what you're doing. Value to them for from the organization. So.
Okay. Our time is just about up, and we had said that we wanted to close with 2 minutes for people to think of, okay, maybe there's a question that wasn't asked that I still want to answer, or I want to reiterate some of the issues that I have brought forth. And we're going to do this by giving each of the candidates another 2 minutes, and so that they can respond to any issues or just make a strong close for their candidacy. We're going to start with the candidates for member-at-large and then close with the candidates for president-elect. And they passed it all the way down to you. I was going to start with Dennis, but this is great. Okay, Tom.
Okay. Well, first I wanted to agree with Tom that we ought to be listening more to our members. But not just listening. Listening is kind of a passive thing. We need to be going out and asking questions about what it is that we can do to add value to the organization. I wanted just to also reiterate the point that our vision is still a good vision. That mix of being able to being a trusted source of advice and a trusted source of information is really important in today's world. We need to hold to that vision and do things that reinforce it. As we go out and try to deal with the crises that are coming in engineers being able to find jobs and maintain their families.
I think the member-at-large has a lot of responsibility and has a lot of expectations that they need to fulfill. And I think I can fulfill those expectations, and I think I can uphold that responsibility. Among those responsibilities is to guide the policies that are developed under the Board of Directors for the IEEE USA, guide the future, and set the vision for, or help set the vision for the IEEE USA. Among those things, I mentioned a couple. Virtual conferencing. We can probably increase revenue by charging a little bit for people who can't attend the conferences in real life, but make that a new way to generate revenue. Great real-time interactive environments in the conferences. Also increase our development of standards and participate internationally with the international communities on the development of standards. I also want to point out that next year is the 100th year, the centennial year of the IEEE publications. So we should be looking at how we're doing publications today and see what is the next technology that we should be exploiting for the publications of tomorrow. And I think we have a couple ideas already in play, but I think there's some additional things we haven't tapped yet. So I think these are all ideas that I would throw out there. And I certainly would be all ears and all eyes in terms of email and Twitter and blogs to your suggestions as well if I was chosen to be your representative. Thank you.
Okay, if we can pass the microphone down to Mark, since he got to have the opening word, we'll save the closing word for Anita. How's that? Mark?
As the president of the U.S. Electrotechnology National Society and president of the IEEE USA, I would like the chance to serve you. I would like you to vote in this election and tell your fellow members to get out and vote. We need a big turnout. Whether you vote for me, and I, of course, would like you to vote for me, but I would like you to vote. Thank you.
Like I mentioned before, we need to articulate our vision. That means communications. We need to convene people around it. That means to inspire and support our membership, and we need to provide them the resources to make this happen. I think I have the skills to lead you as a IEEE USA president in doing these three things.
Wonderful. Well, we have a strong set of candidates, and it's been a great time now for us to interact with them. However, that doesn't mean that you can't collar them on the way out or at some other time, because I'm sure that they would love to respond to any additional questions and issues that you have. On your tables are some yellow feedback sheets. We really appreciate that because that gives us information for continued planning. So if you will fill those out, we thank you very much and wish you a good rest of the day.